Most men grow up thinking attraction is something they have to, like it's a reward for saying the right words, acting confident, or playing some role that women respond to. You see it everywhere. Advice telling you how to text, how to act alpha, how to create attraction through techniques. And it sounds logical. If you can just do the right things, she'll feel the right way. But the truth is, the more you try to make someone like you, the less real you become. Because every time you're trying, you're performing. You're watching yourself instead of being yourself. You start to shape your words, your energy, even your personality around what you think will win her over. And without realizing it, you've left yourself behind. Women can feel that instantly. Not in some mystical way, just emotionally. They can tell when a man's being natural and when he's subtly bending himself to fit what he thinks she wants. That tiny shift from authenticity to effort changes everything. You might still make her laugh. You might say all the right things. But something feels off. It's like there's a tension behind your smile, a hidden question behind your words. Do you like me yet? And that's the moment the attraction starts to fade. Because attraction isn't logical. It's not earned by trying harder. It's felt through how relaxed, grounded, and self-contained you are. And the harder you try to create attraction, the more you signal that you don't believe you're naturally attractive. That's the paradox most men never notice. The energy of trying pushes away what they're trying to pull in. When you stop performing, something changes. Your voice slows down. Your eyes soften. You stop searching for the right thing to say, and you just respond. You're not selling yourself anymore. You're just being there. And that's when she feels it. That quiet confidence that says, I don't need this to go anywhere to know my worth. Most men never experience that version of themselves because they're too busy chasing approval to notice what it feels like to just exist without effort. But that's where real attraction starts. Not in what you say or do, but in the space you create by not needing to prove anything. That's the myth of effort, the belief that you can win love through performance, when in truth, it only begins once you stop performing. Trying too hard doesn't look desperate at first. It looks polite. It looks like effort. You think you're being thoughtful, attentive, showing interest. You text back fast. You make plans. You check in. But what starts as genuine interest slowly turns into overinvestment, and that's where most men lose her. Because when you're overinvested, your attention stops being natural. You're not just connecting anymore, you're managing her perception of you. You start thinking, did I sound confident? Was that funny enough? Did she like that? All of that noise in your head pulls you out of the moment, and the second you stop being present, she feels it. Women don't lose attraction because they're cruel or because they want games. They lose it when they can feel you've made them the center of your emotional world too soon. You start orbiting her, waiting on her responses, matching your mood to hers, chasing validation without realizing it. What you think is connection starts to feel like pressure. Here's the thing. Attraction grows in space, not in control. When you try to make her like you shrink that space. You fill it with words, effort, and attention, hoping she'll feel closer. But she actually starts to feel suffocated because your effort tells her something you don't mean to say, that you're afraid of losing her. And fear kills attraction faster than anything. Not because fear is bad, but because it changes your behavior. You stop leading. You stop being relaxed. You start anticipating rejection instead of just living the moment. That's why trying too hard always backfires. You're no longer showing her you're showing her the version you think she'll approve of. And no one can connect deeply with someone who's not being real. You don't need to play it cool or act detached, but you do need to stop managing how you come across. The more you try to control the outcome, the more you lose the natural rhythm that creates chemistry. Attraction happens in balance. Interest without attachment, attention without pressure, presence without performance. Once you understand that, you stop chasing reactions and start being yourself again. And that shift, more than anything you could say or do, is what makes a woman actually feel drawn to you. Neediness isn't about how much you like someone. It's about how much of yourself you lose when you like them. Most men think being needy means sending too many texts or asking for attention. But that's just the surface. Real neediness runs deeper. It's about needing someone else to make you feel secure. It usually starts with self-doubt. Maybe you've been rejected before. Maybe you grew up feeling like you had to earn affection. So when you meet someone you like, you start to slip into that old pattern, trying to prove that you're worth staying for. You give more, you try harder, you chase validation, hoping that if she responds well, you'll finally feel enough. But the truth is, no amount of approval ever fixes that feeling, because neediness isn't about her attention. It's about your relationship with yourself. When you secretly believe you're not enough, you start to rely on other people's reactions to feel valuable. That's when everything she does starts to matter too much. You wait for her replies. You analyze her tone. You adjust your behavior based on how she responds. It's not love, it's survival mode disguised as romance. You're trying to manage your anxiety by controlling how she sees you. And that's what she feels, not love, not attraction, but tension. When a man's sense of peace depends on how someone else treats him, it creates an imbalance. She becomes the source of his validation, and he becomes emotionally dependent. He may not say it, but she can feel it. That subtle emotional weight, that pressure to make him feel okay, pushes her away. You can't fake calm. You can't fake confidence. You either believe that you're enough without her, or you don't. And if you don't, no strategy or technique will cover it for long. The root of neediness is fear, fear of losing something that defines your worth. Once you see that, you realize the solution isn't to play games or act detached. It's to rebuild your sense of self so your peace doesn't depend on how anyone responds to you. That's what makes men magnetic again. Not because they stop caring, but because they stop needing. When you can want someone without needing them to complete you, everything about your energy changes. You become grounded, clear, and easy to be around. And that's what draws people in. There's something rare about a man who's fully present. Most people aren't. They're distracted, thinking about the past, planning the future, checking their phones, replaying what they just said. You can feel it when someone's not really there with you. Their eyes wander. Their energy feels scattered. They're half in the moment, half somewhere else. But when a man is present, everything slows down. He listens, really listens. He doesn't rush to respond or to impress. He's not trying to steer the conversation or control how he's seen. He's just there, calm, grounded, and engaged. That energy alone changes how a woman feels around him. Presence communicates something words can't. Confidence. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind that doesn't need to prove itself. Because when you're truly present, it means you're not trapped in your head, worrying about what she thinks. You're comfortable enough in yourself to just be. And that's what makes her feel comfortable too. Most men think attraction is about doing more. Saying more, showing more, proving more. But real attraction happens when you do less. When you give her your full attention without trying to get anything in return, she feels seen. And that's rare. Being present doesn't mean being serious or intense. It just means you're not divided. You're not half listening while rehearsing your next move. You're not pretending to be relaxed while secretly hoping she likes you. You've let go of the outcome so you can actually enjoy the moment for what it is. That kind of energy is contagious. When you're calm, she relaxes. When you're focused, she feels valued. When you're at ease, she opens up. None of that happens through effort. It happens through stillness. Presence is powerful because it shows emotional control. It says, I'm not here to chase your approval. I'm here to experience this moment. That attitude separates you from most men she meets, not because you're better, but because you're real. And once you understand that, you stop trying to perform and start to connect. The attraction that comes from that isn't forced. It's not about trying harder. It's about showing up fully. That's the power of presence. When you're completely there, she feels safe enough to be herself. And that's where real chemistry begins. When a man is calm, people notice. Not because he's loud or dominant, but because he's steady. His energy doesn't jump around based on what's happening. He doesn't panic if things go quiet. He doesn't rush to fill silence. He's comfortable in it. That calmness is what women are drawn to. Not the act of being chill, but the genuine peace behind it. Most men don't realize how rare that is. A lot of guys walk around tense without knowing it. They're always slightly anxious, checking their phones, looking for signs of interest, trying to read every expression. That kind of energy feels unstable. It doesn't matter how confident you try to look on the outside if your presence feels restless. Calmness, on the other hand, feels safe. It tells her that you're not easily shaken, that you can handle pressure, that you're not emotionally dependent on her reaction. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being grounded enough that you don't lose yourself when things are uncertain. Women don't consciously think, he's calm, therefore I'm attracted. It's much simpler than that. They just feel different around a man who isn't nervous about where things are going. He's not seeking reassurance or approval. He's not performing. He's centered. That stability is magnetic because it allows her to relax too. You can't fake that kind of energy. You can't force yourself to be calm by pretending not to care. Real calm comes from knowing that you'll be okay no matter what happens. Whether she likes you, flakes, or walks away, your peace doesn't depend on it. That mindset gives you power without trying to be powerful. It's the emotional version of strong posture. You don't have to stand tall and puff your chest out. Your presence already says you're comfortable in your own skin. And people, especially women, are naturally drawn to that. This is why emotional control matters more than words, looks, or charm. If your energy is scattered, people feel it. If it's grounded, they trust it. Calmness creates a space that feels safe and real, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're solid within yourself. That's the energy women respond to. Not confidence as a performance, but confidence as peace. When you can hold that calmness no matter what's happening, attraction doesn't have to be created. It happens on its own. There's a clear difference between trying to impress someone and simply expressing who you are. One comes from fear, the other from freedom. Most men don't realize when they cross that line. They start out wanting to connect, but somewhere along the way, they begin performing. Every joke, every comment, every gesture becomes a test. Did she like that? Did that land? You can feel the tension in those moments. You're not speaking freely, you're editing yourself in real time. You're managing impressions instead of sharing truth. It's exhausting, and it never works for long. Because even if she's polite, she can sense that your focus isn't on the connection. It's on winning her approval. When you stop trying to impress, something shifts immediately. You become lighter. You start to say what you actually think, not what sounds good. You stop scanning her face for reactions. And you start enjoying the interaction itself. You stop trying to be liked, and you start being honest. That honesty is what creates attraction. Not because you're saying something clever, but because you're showing her who you are without apology. People are drawn to realness, especially when it's rare. When a man speaks with no filter of fear, it signals self-respect. It says, I value being myself more than being liked. That energy is magnetic. Impressing is about control. Expressing is about trust. When you express, you trust that being yourself is enough. You don't need to adjust to fit her expectations. You don't need to hide your flaws or pretend you're always confident. You can laugh at yourself. You can disagree. You can be human. That's what women actually connect to. Not the polished version of a man, but the grounded, authentic one. Because when you're real, she feels safe being real too. The conversation becomes effortless. No games, no tension, no pretending. Just two people being themselves. The funny thing is, when you stop trying to impress, you often do impress, but not in the way you expect. You stand out precisely because you're not performing. While everyone else is trying to win attention, you're comfortable losing it. That's the kind of confidence that sticks with people. So, the next time you catch yourself rehearsing your words or overthinking a message, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to impress her or just express myself? One leads to anxiety. The other leads to connection. And the more you live in that second space, the more natural attraction becomes. You can tell a lot about a man by what he tolerates. Not what he says he wants, but what he allows. That's where self-respect shows up. In boundaries, not words. Most men don't lose attraction because they're too nice. They lose it because they don't know where to draw the line. They'll accept mixed signals, inconsistency, disrespect, all because they don't want to lose the connection. But every time you ignore your own standards just to keep someone around, you send a message that your peace is negotiable. And women pick up on that instantly, not consciously but emotionally. When you act like her time is more valuable than yours, or you accept treatment you wouldn't tolerate from anyone else, you're teaching her how to treat you. It's not about blame, it's about energy. When you value yourself, you naturally move in a way that earns respect without demanding it. Self-respect is quiet. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just has limits. It's the ability to say, I like you, but I won't chase you. I'm interested, but I'm not waiting around. I'm here, but I'm not losing myself trying to keep this going. Those aren't power moves. They're self-protection. And ironically, that's what creates attraction. When a man can walk away from situations that don't serve him, it changes how people see him. His energy feels different. He's not holding on out of fear, he's choosing from strength. That's what draws women in. Not the act of leaving, but the confidence to know he can. You can't fake self-respect, though. You either have it or you don't. It's built through discipline, through keeping promises to yourself, living by your own standards, and being willing to lose people rather than lose your integrity. When you have that, you stop chasing validation, because your validation comes from within. A man with self-respect doesn't need to manipulate or play games. He doesn't need to test anyone or act cold. He's just clear. He knows what kind of energy he wants in his life and doesn't apologize for it. That's the hidden signal, the quiet certainty that says, I value myself. And that signal does something powerful. It makes others value you too. Attraction is a reflection of how you treat yourself. When you respect your time, your peace, and your standards, people feel it. They trust it. Because at the end of the day, respect isn't something you demand, it's something you embody. There's a moment that changes everything, so when she realizes you're not chasing her anymore. You haven't become cold or distant. You just stopped needing her reaction to feel okay. Your focus shifts from trying to impress her to simply being yourself around her. It's subtle, but women notice that shift immediately. At first, she might not understand it. She's used to men trying to win her attention. But now your energy feels different. You still like her, you're still kind, you still show up, but you're no longer performing. You're relaxed. You're not watching her every move. You're not overthinking what to say next. You're just present, enjoying the moment. That's when attraction kicks in. Not because you did something new, but because you finally stopped trying. Your energy stops saying, please, like me, and starts saying, I'm good, either way. That quiet confidence creates tension in the best way. It makes her curious. She starts wondering what changed, why she suddenly feels more drawn to you when you're doing less. What she's feeling isn't confusion. It's respect. She senses that your world doesn't revolve around her, and that makes her want to be part of it. You've become a man with gravity, steady, calm, and self-contained. That kind of presence pulls people in naturally. You can't fake that shift because it's not about acting different, it's about feeling different. When your peace no longer depends on someone else's attention, your behavior naturally changes. You stop checking your phone every minute, you stop overanalyzing, you start living. And people feel that. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about genuinely not needing to be gotten. When you're fulfilled, when your life has direction, when you like who you are outside of dating, that fullness shows. You don't chase validation because you already have it. That's the moment she feels it, when you no longer need her to fill the space that only self-respect can fill. You've stopped trying to earn attraction and started embodying it. That's the point where you stop being another guy in pursuit and start being a man she actually wants to know more about. It's quiet but powerful, the invisible switch that turns effort into magnetism. Most people confuse confidence with performance. They think being confident means being loud, social, dominant. The guy who commands the room, tells stories, cracks jokes. But that's not confidence. That's expression. Real confidence doesn't need to be seen. It's quiet. It's how you carry yourself when nobody's watching. A man who's truly confident doesn't need to broadcast it. You can feel it in the way he moves, the way he speaks, the way he looks at you. There's no rush, no tension, no need to prove anything. He's not searching for reactions. He's not measuring his worth by how people respond. He's settled in himself. Fake confidence is easy to spot. It's loud, exaggerated, and usually inconsistent. You can see it fade the moment something doesn't go his way. When a joke falls flat, when she doesn't laugh, when attention shifts to someone else. Because fake confidence relies on approval. It's borrowed energy. It only works as long as the world keeps validating it. Real confidence comes from the opposite place. It's built in solitude, in the moments when you've had to face things alone and come out okay. It's not built by being praised. It's built by surviving disappointment and realizing you didn't fall apart. That's what gives you quiet strength. You've learned that your value doesn't disappear when someone doesn't see it. That's why confident men don't overreact. They don't chase, argue, or try to convince. If something isn't working, they let it go. It's not indifference, it's self-trust. They know they can walk away because they've done it before, and they were fine. That's the calm that women feel around them. Not arrogance, but stability. You can build that kind of confidence only by living it, by putting yourself in situations that test you, rejection, failure, uncertainty, and realizing you can handle them. Every time you do, you become more grounded. And grounded people are naturally attractive because they don't need to force anything. So no, confidence isn't about standing out. It's about standing firm. It's not about controlling the room. It's about being unshaken when the room doesn't respond. The quieter your confidence becomes, the louder it speaks. And when you carry that kind of energy, people notice, not because you're trying to be seen, but because you're one of the few who doesn't need to be. Attraction isn't something you can force. You can't plan it, talk your way into it, or earn it by effort. It happens when two people feel something real, and that feeling only shows up when both are being themselves. That's the quiet truth most men miss. The more you chase connection, the more you end up chasing yourself away. When you stop trying to make someone like you, everything about you starts to feel lighter. You stop analyzing every word. You stop performing. You stop needing constant reassurance that you're doing it right. Instead, you start to show up how you actually are. Calm, imperfect, but real. That's when people notice. Not because you're saying or doing anything special, but because you feel different. You feel grounded. You're not grasping for validation anymore, and that gives off an energy that people trust. It's not a trick or a mindset hack. It's what happens when you finally believe you're enough without outside approval. Every man has to learn that lesson at some point, usually the hard way, through rejection, disappointment, or losing someone you thought you couldn't live without. But those moments teach you something important, that your worth isn't negotiable. It doesn't rise or fall based on who stays or who leaves, and once you really get that, you stop chasing love from a place of emptiness. You start giving it from a place of peace. You stop trying to earn attraction and start allowing it. You let things unfold naturally. You let people reveal who they are. You walk away when it's not mutual. Not because you're playing games, but because your self-respect won't let you beg for attention. The quiet truth is that the most attractive men aren't trying to attract anyone. They're too focused on living well, on growing, on being steady. And that stability is what pulls people in. You don't have to talk about it. You just live it. So stop chasing reactions. Stop trying to trigger attraction through tactics or effort. The most powerful trigger is peace, the calm assurance that you're okay on your own. When you reach that place, love stops feeling like a game of control. It becomes something natural again. Two people meeting as equals, not as performers looking for approval. And that's what this all comes down to. Presence, peace, and self-respect. Everything else flows from there.